If you're an Indian and you are loaded, and I'm not talking normal rich, I'm talking top tier rich, there is a good chance that you are on Hurun India's radar. Just this month, the firm released its 2024 philanthropy list that highlighted how some of India's wealthiest, the likes of Shiv Nadar, Mukesh Ambani, and Nikhil Kamath, were donating money.
This year's list is particularly very encouraging. We have found about 203 entrants who've cumulatively donated almost rupees 9,000 crores in the last financial year. One very interesting aspect of this year's list is the inclusion of two women philanthropists in the top 10. Susmita Bagchi of Mindtree and also Rohini Nilakani also features in the top 10.
That was Anas Rehman Junaid, the managing director and chief researcher of Hurun India, talking about the philanthropy list. You see, this list actually happens to be just one of many. Hurun has moved up ahead of ranking giants like Bloomberg and Forbes with 17 lists so far. It has a global 500 list, which is similar to Bloomberg's Billionaire index. In fact, at this point, it would be safe to say that it has replaced Forbes as the most trusted choice for bankers and wealth managers. Hurun has managed to turn showing wealth off into a cultural trend, despite the fact that money is almost wrapped in secrecy in a country like ours. So, what is really driving India's obsession with ranking the richest? The answer is that Hurun doesn't just put together a list of the wealthy. It turns their journeys into stories of how fortunes are made. Over more than a decade, Hurun India has grown way beyond its original rich lists. It started creating rankings for just about everything that you could think of. From self made entrepreneurs to top art collectors, they even track billionaires by zodiac signs. Fun fact, Virgos are leading the pack in India, making up nearly 10% of the country's billionaires. You see, Hurun began putting together these rich lists about 10 years ago. The idea was to go where the likes of Forbes and Bloomberg had not, find stories of the rich beyond the top 100. Slowly, it began getting sponsorships from banks and wealth managers and grew bigger. So, in today's episode, we look at Hurun India beyond just these lists. A closer look at the behind the scenes relationship that it has with wealth management companies and how it keeps the ultra rich in India happy. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Nigda Sharma, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Rahel Philippos and I will come to you with one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Monday, the 18th of November. A new billionaire is created in India every 5 days. So the timing is just perfect for a firm like Hurun to thrive now that curiosity about the rich is stronger than ever before. When Junaid bought Hurun to India, there were just two private companies which were valued at over $1 billion, Flipkart and InMobi. Now, that number has exploded to beyond 100, and at the same time, the benchmark Nifty 50 has gone up by 5 times. So, to begin with, how exactly does Hurun work? You see, first it identifies industry leaders and features them in its rich list. Junaid told my colleague Nuha Bubre that this process can take up to a year. Then, Hurun, with its financial institution partners like Axis, IDFC, and Kotak Mahindra Bank, invites and honors them for their contributions to their respective industries. An executive at the British banking firm Barclays, which partnered with Hurun for the 2024 Most Valuable Family Businesses list, told us how the list helps them get new clients and maybe people that they may not even have been able to reach or don't even know about. For example, Groe, which is a global bathroom solutions brand, has been sponsoring the Hurun India real estate rich list since 2017 in exchange for gaining access to their network. Pratap Francis, the former chief marketing officer at Groe, told the Ken how at the beginning the commercial arrangement for this partnership was 1 crore rupees per year. But in the following years, the cost dropped to 80 lakh thanks to the strong relationship Groe had built with Hurun. He explained to us what Groe got out of it. Hurun not only gave them access to the real estate companies but also arranged one on one meetings with them. So basically, they got to rub shoulders with the proprietors of these huge real estate developers and be seen as a premium luxury brand. One such meeting actually translated into a bunch of projects for Groe for a real estate company. The whole process, though, of making these lists is not really an easy task, especially because very often rich people shy away from publicly talking about their money. But companies that have collaborated with Hurun describe the team as hardcore audit people and consultants who go through tons and tons of data daily. And that is the real value that banks and wealth managers find in Hurun. An executive from IIFL Capital told us, and I'm quoting him, "You can slice and dice the list in so many ways that you have one segment with A, B, and C topics. Then you have three different companies to give you money." End quote. For more on this, stay tuned. Anas Rahman Junaid says that the methodology of valuing a business is as much an art as it is a science. And that is what sets Hurun apart. It is able to create regional lists that capture wealth creation in various cities and states, something that no other player has been able to do. To do this, Hurun research relies solely on publicly available data. For unlisted companies, valuations are based on the latest funding rounds and against publicly listed counterparts using current industry multiples. Take Snapdeal, for example. While the company peaked at a valuation of $6 billion in 2016, it struggled to maintain even a $1 billion valuation by 2017 because of intense competition in the e commerce sector. Now, as a result, the co-founder Kunal Bell, who had featured in Hurun India's rich list in 2015 and 16, was removed from the list in 2017. Wealth managers like ASK and 361 Wealth, which was earlier IIFL Wealth, they also want to partner with organizations like Hurun that give them access to the high net worth crowd that they are chasing. It is a win-win for both. Wealth managers not only acquire new clients, but they also get to market themselves among the rich by partnering up and sponsoring these lists. And in return, Hurun monetizes its list through sponsorship that it gets for holding these events. To some, though, Hurun's business is quite simple: gather data and sell it. Companies typically only buy the list if they are targeting a specific demographic or trying to access potential clients that they cannot reach on their own. For instance, an insurance company that needs to target its product to a person with more than 10,000 crore rupees can filter out the target audience from Hurun's data. So, it is actually Hurun's approach that stands out, especially in India where organized data is hard to come by compared to the West. Francis, who currently heads marketing for tire manufacturer MRF, told us that this was the biggest problem that the two global publications, Forbes and Bloomberg, had always faced. And what Junaid finally told us kind of highlights this difference in approach. He says that these lists are not created just for the affluent. It is for the rest of the people who want to understand these wealth creation stories that are happening in this country.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of the Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted by Snigdha Sharma and edited by Rajiv CN.